Hello, my friends, and welcome back to another edition of Miami Revealed, where we tell you the truth, not because we've read it or seen it, but most of the times because we have lived it. Personal experience. Today is July 18th, and 2024, and I have, once again, our special guest who is going to inform you or educate you into the rights that we all have, but have been concealed from us. Welcome again. It's so very nice to see you.
Thank you for having me back. Thank you so much.
And doesn't she look lovely? She has a new hairstyle, and she's always very educated, very well informed, and that's why she comes back to the show, because she's passionate about everything that involves us, taxes, and our rights that have been concealed or not told to us. And that's what we want to do. We want to tell you the law. Not what we opine or we think, the law that everyone must follow, including federal agencies, local municipalities, police officers, FBI, CIA, whatever it is. Follow the law, just like we do. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure. And today we have a very, very interesting topic to talk about. We want to talk about the Chevron Doctrine. But before we start, a short disclaimer here. This is for educational purpose only. So please follow the law at all times. Neither I, nor the host, nor the editor of this show, nor Miami Revealed is responsible for the actions that you take with this information.
That's correct.
So with that being said, let's talk about the Chevron deference or the Chevron Doctrine. And this is very interesting because a lot of us have been following rules and laws. We have become followers of these false doctrines. Yes, thank you very much. And the Chevron Doctrine, it started in 1984. And it was a case with the Chevron Oil Company and against the Natural Resources Defense Council, Inc. And listen to that well, Inc. So this was a corporation acting, pretending, assuming to be a federal agency. And the Supreme Court decided...
Isn't that like fraud?
Well, it is actually a violation of the law under color of law.
Well, that's fraud.
Yes. So what happened here is that the Supreme Court basically gave them all the power to these agencies that are pretending to be government agencies when they are actually for-profit corporations. And the Supreme Court, well, since you are the expert, then I am going to allow you, agency, to interpret the law and just try to figure it out on your own. We're just going to wash our hands and that's it. We're going to leave it up to you. Therefore, we the people, we have been in harms all the way. We have been financially harmed, and some people have gone to jail because of that, because they have been trying to follow the law, but they have just been following the agency's rules and mandates, which are completely unconstitutional. Now, I'm going to give you a few...
Which agency?
Ooh, over 400 agencies. And I can tell you...
Name a couple.
Okay, let's say OSHA.
Ooh.
Okay, OSHA,
which
is the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, and they were able to decide that everyone who worked for a large company would have to get the yibbity-yab. Or else they would be fired. You remember those times, the lockdown times? Well, because of OSHA and because of the Chevron Doctrine. The Chevron Doctrine gave all these agencies the power to implement whatever rule, mandate, or regulation, and made us like basically victims of their own mandates.
Fraud.
Yes, thank you very much. So they were using, what did they use? They used intimidation, harassment, extortion, because if you didn't get the yibbity-yab, then you would be fired. And a lot of people got fired because of that. You remember that, right?
Of course, and also, if you're in the military, doesn't matter what branch, even the police department, you were mandated and forced or bullied into getting those shots.
Absolutely.
And now we're seeing the results of the harm those shots caused. I was watching a doctor yesterday on video stating that he has never seen so many new birth deformities in 40 years of being a doctor.
Yes.
It's horrible.
Yes, yes.
Now, who's going to pay for that?
We'll see about that because
Exactly.
at least I'm hoping to see people paying with jail.
Yeah, of course,
Jail
of
time.
course. Hey.
The CDC, the NIH, the FDA, which never approved that yibbity yabbed. A lot of people,
I'd like
a
to
lot
see-
of agencies. Another agency, the ATF, which is the Bureau of Alcohol and Tobacco Firearms. They can say right now that whatever plastic toy that you have, it could be a machine gun.
Exactly.
And now you need a license, and you need this, and you need that, and you pay a bunch of things that they regulate, and they put rules and mandates that they're totally unconstitutional.
Well, yesterday, the Supreme Court ruled against ATF, or in Florida, that whatever it is, they put in your rifle or stock or whatever, it's not considered a machine gun after so many years.
Thank you.
And they have confiscated so many weapons. And the Supreme Court just slapped them down.
And that's because of the Chevron, they overruled the Chevron Doctrine. We're seeing a couple of changes, and I don't know how fast we're going to keep seeing changes, but it's happening, and we're very happy about that.
Well, after this weekend, with the terrible tragedy and, in my opinion, the conspiracy to assassinate a former president,
That's tragic.
it's horrific. Tragedy is an accident. Horrific is a purposeful act. And you've all have seen the cell phone footage of all the bystanders telling the cop that was right there, hey, he's on the roof, he's got a rifle. And the cop just walks away.
And what is that? That is an agency. The Secret Services is another agency. It is a for-profit corporation.
And you have local, state, Secret Service. They probably have the counter snipers. We're all paying for this, and well, we're not getting our money's worth.
No, not at all. Look at this other agency, the IRS, the infamous IRS. They have been given carte blanche because they can make and change whatever rules and regulations and mandates as much as they want, and they're not being regulated.
Exactly.
The court simply says, well, if you have a case, if you have something, a complaint with the IRS, you have to go to the tax court. One more time. They wash their hands como Poncio Pilato.
What is that?
Poncio Pilato?
I have no idea what that is. Is that like a ding?
Pontius Pilate.
Oh, Pontius Pilate. Now I get it.
It's Miami Revealed,
Okay,
remember?
Okay, Pontius Pilate, the guy that said,
Wash
"Oh,
their hands.
you guys want to kill your Jew? You kill a Jew. I don't care. I'll wash my hands at it."
You can see the Roman laws are still alive and kicking.
A lot of them. A lot of them.
Absolutely. So the IRS is doing that to us, and we have to go to the tax court. And what do they do in the tax court? You go through arbitration. And do you think that they are going to be for us? They're not going to be for us. They're going to rule in favor of the IRS.
Now let me ask you this, because in my line of business, public adjusting, we have a lot of arbitration. Who pays for the arbitrator?
Oh, we do.
Thank you.
We do.
We do.
We pay for everything, my friends, and these are for-profit corporations. For-profit, remember. So every time that we go there, that we have to pay a fee, that we have to pay a tax, that we have to pay whatever a license, those are tax money, and they are just putting their hands in our pockets and they're getting richer and we're getting poorer in that matter.
So, again, like I've always said, we have become paid slaves. You don't work, you don't make money. If you work more to pay more taxes.
And that's how the family is getting all destroyed.
There's no such thing as
the
family
mother,
anymore.
the father, everybody's working. I mean, nothing wrong with working, okay?
No.
But we should be working for us and not to pay the bills or the government. And talking about that, let me establish a foundation here, because this is very important. A lot of people still believe that we have to obey the government, and I am not saying to be disrespectful to the people that work for the government, because, for example, we respect the governor of our state. We respect, all the government employees.
Yes, of
we
course.
respect them all. We love them all. They are men and women that they also have families.
And
but-
we just,
Exactly. But what we don't like is the way that they have taken over the people. So as a friendly reminder, we were created by the creator of all creation. Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, Yahweh, Yehovah, God, as you know it. And he created us, and in the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 26, he gave us the royal power to rule, and he gave us
Over
the
the
entire
earth.
the earth, the water, and the
sky.
air. So we were given the royal power to rule. We are sovereigns. So we follow the law of God, the law of the Bible. Then we, men and women, then we created the government to help us get organized in our community.
to help us establish rules, basically, the Magna Carta, 12th century.
The Bill of Rights and the Constitution, but all of those things was to keep the government in check. It was not
Exactly.
for us. It was to keep them in check so they couldn't go over our rights.
And become dictators.
Exactly. And then the government created the agencies. And with the agencies, they created statutes, mandates, regulations, but that was supposed to be for those agencies to keep them in check. And with that came commerce. Now they have turned the table upside down, and they have put us down here to obey them. They have become the gods. And that is horrible, people. I'm not saying that we are over above the law. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that we obey
But the thing is that
the law of the land, and as long as we don't harm another person, they
Correct.
don't steal their property, destroy their property, or kill somebody else, then we're good to go. All these mandates and regulations created by for-profit corporations, that's not for us. That is totally unconstitutional, and that's when the Chevron case, the overturn of the Chevron case, gave us back the power for us to rule again, basically to rule over our lives, because we're not here to rule. I am not here to rule over you, and you're not here to rule over me.
absolutely not.
We are sovereigns. You do you.
Exactly.
And I do me. All right. So let me give you another example. The other example is the local police.
I love it.
Yes, we love the men and women in uniform. We love the men and women in uniform. Thank you very much. And we can see here that sometimes the police was arresting people just because, no particular reason. There was no suspicion here that we could articulate. There was no crime committed. Out of the blue, you could get arrested, and I have seen this.
I've seen it a lot.
And I have friends that have gone through hell back and forth. No jury, no court, no nothing. And they have spent days, weeks, and months in jail. Just because somebody decided that they didn't like you, you go to jail.
That's it.
Okay, so no more. So what happened with the doctrine? Okay, the Chevron doctrine. So these fishermen, in 2020, they were being harassed, and let me look here the name of the department, because these are all agencies,
Of course.
okay? Government agencies.
That is supposed to protect us.
No.
We pay them to protect us.
So in 2020, the family fishing company called Loper Bright Enterprises, they were forced to pay $700 a day to have a babysitter, an agent, excuse me, in their boats for every fishing trip. And this was affecting them financially. It was causing them financial harm.
And the purpose was for what?
The National Marine Fisheries Services, under the command of the Secretary of Commerce.
What the hell was that? I never heard of it.
Another agency.
I know that we have here in Florida the Fish and Wildlife Police Department, for another word. So we already have that here. Why do they have to pay somebody else for that?
Well, because before, 40 years ago, the Chevron Doctrine was giving all these agencies the power to implement rules and mandates and regulations and interpret the law.
So they
Totally unconstitutional.
So they expire to just put on paper, this is what we want, and that's it.
Yeah, so they were being charged $700 a day to have an agent babysitting their boats, checking that they were following the rules. Totally childish, totally unconstitutional.
So that man or woman sat on the boat, watching these people slave and work. I've been a fisherman too. You know, and let me tell you something. Between the sun, the wind, and the surf, you know, you get back to the dock and you're dead, tired. So what? They just sat there and counted beans, listen to their, I don't know, the radio or whatever.
$700 a day, every day. It was causing the fishermen financial harm.
So let's say that this agent, and let's give him a fair salary, right? Let's say $40 an hour. That doesn't equate to $700 a day.
No, the agency was keeping the rest.
So, oh my God! So this is a for-profit corporation.
All of these agencies are for-profit corporations.
And where does that money go?
Understand that well. To their pockets, they are for-profit corporations.
But what do they use the excess money for?
To have their own lavish lifestyle?
Well, we see that a lot. And that's what we're here. To put an end to that, or at least tell you what your money is being squandered on.
So the good news is that just recently, June the 28th, 2024, the Supreme Court determined that all these agencies were basically unconstitutional. They were doing unconstitutional things to the people, and they just decided to overturn the Chevron Doctrine. So that is wonderful news for us, because for the last 40 years we have been following rules, mandates, regulations that they were completely unconstitutional. And if we dare to ask or challenge the court will send us back to the agency, and then the agency will find us with more charges or even a jail time.
So that's extortion.
Absolutely. Extortion, coercion, harassment.
It's all above, all the above.
All of the above.
So this is not America. This is not America.
But it's getting better. It's getting better.
Well, let's hope so.
Yes, my hopes are like really high right now with this Chevron Doctrine. They're not gonna make it easy on us, and we're gonna see this Chevron Doctrine.
They work for us. You know, they're supposed to protect us. How can they not make it easy for us? There should be public messages, posted, send emails, whatever, and say, hey, we've been screwing up for all these years. Sorry.
But from now on, the courts are getting back the power, are removing the power from all these agencies, and now the court is the one that is supposed to be interpreting the law. Because the other
That's what they should.
absolutely. You know that going back to the IRS was creating their own laws. The IRS has absolutely no constitutional right
Nope.
to create laws. Only Congress, my friend.
Correct.
Only Congress. But with this Chevron Doctrine, you know, they were like, oh yeah, let's keep moving. And they kept changing and changing the rules back and forth. You know that every year they change those documents.
Every single year.
Every year they put new rules, new regulations. And
I speak to my accountant and I say, hey, wait a minute, last year I did this and this year I can't? Why? Oh, the IRS changed it. I go, why?
no, only courts can make laws, and only Congress can make laws,
Correct.
and only courts can interpret those laws. So we're good. So
Well, after this weekend, I see Congress thinning out a lot. And how people are going to go to jail?
right. So now we see they just declared that all mandates, rules, and regulations, so-called from these so-called government agencies, they have been declared unconstitutional. So now the courts, not the agencies, should decide all relevant questions of law.
So finally, the system has worked. But then let me ask you this. All right, how long did it take to get to the Supreme Court?
40 years.
Excuse me?
40 years.
That's a lifetime. So whoever filed this, 40 years ago, probably has passed away. And for somebody to take on this challenge, it's monumental. And not to mention the out-of-pocket costs.
Absolutely. 40 years is a long time, in jail is 2 life sentences.
Yeah.
That's a very long time. But thank goodness that things are changing to our advantage. And people, we need to educate ourselves. It's time to stop watching novelas and because we spend too much time being entertained.
Or CNN.
Or CNN, or any other kind of social media. If it's entertainment, it's okay to entertain yourself, a few minutes a day, but to spend the entire day in pure gossip, and because if you don't know your rights,
Fake news.
Yeah, fake news. You have to know your rights, and if you don't know your rights, you have none. They are going to screw you. Believe me. Now, going back to a very interesting point that you said before. Why is this all happening? Why was the court? Why were these agencies doing this and that? Yes, the doctrine, the Chevron Doctrine, they were relying on that Chevron Doctrine for 40 years. But the other thing that people don't know, and some of us already know this, but all these private for-profit corporations, they are corporations, therefore it is commerce. Somehow, some way, you entered into a contract with them. And that's why they were screwing with you, because knowingly or unknowingly, you signed a contract. Just like the driver's license. Let's talk about the driver.
Why not?
That is a contract, my friend. You enter in a contract with this corporation, and therefore you said, okay,
The
I will
DMV.
the DMV. Therefore, you decided that you were going to follow those laws or those mandates or regulations.
One of the things that, and I used to be in charge of the traffic unit, and one of the things that the State of Florida Constitution says that driving and possessing a driver's license is a privilege, not a right.
Imagine that.
Imagine that.
No.
But now, we have people coming illegally over the border, and the next day they have a license. How is that possible? How is that fair or legal?
Well, first of all, this Department of Motor Vehicle, also known as DMV, just remember, it is another for-profit corporation. It is an agency, government agency, or at least they are posing as such.
Right.
And they don't tell you that it is your right to travel. But we have been conditioned, okay? We have been programmed to use commercial words for our regular lifestyle. So,
Yes.
for example, driver, what is a driver? Driver, if you go to the Department of Transportation, driver is the person that actually drives a commercial vehicle. But if you are just operating your car, your automobile, you're a traveler. Why do you need a driver's license if you're not operating a motor vehicle carriage?
Well, being from law enforcement, there's some benefits to having a driver's license because
Absolutely.
you get taught to, the rules of the road, stop sign, green lights, red lights, whatever. So that is kind of a safety concern. So I'm for education,
Yes. Okay.
but education, not mandated or imposed upon.
Not imposed, correct. And yes, you're right. There are advantages of having a driver's license. So, for example, I have my driver's license. I have not rescind my driver's license because I like to travel to different states and I like to rent a car.
Of course.
So for a car rental, you need a driver's license because you are engaging in commerce.
Right.
You are renting a car from another corporation, therefore it is, they're not going to give you a car. They're not going to rent you a car without that driver's license. So
Absolutely
for
not.
that matter, it is useful. Unless you want to use your car for your travel all around the nation, that's perfectly fine. But driver's license is for commercial purposes. So if you're an Uber driver, if you're an Amazon driver, if you are a police officer, you drive a commercial car. Why commercial? Because it is from a private corporation.
And let me tell you something about that. The police cars, they don't belong to the policeman or woman. They belong to the people that pay for those. And you see a lot of cops, that's my car. It's not your car. It's something that we give you the privilege to use to do your duty.
So that's why they need a driver's license, because for them it is a privilege to drive that patrol car.
Correct.
But for us to travel, it is not a privilege, it is a right. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples of case law. So
Please do.
For example, Thompson versus Smith, 154 SE 579, it says very clear, the right of a citizen to travel upon the public highways and to transport his property thereon in the ordinary course of life and business, it is a common right which he has under the right to enjoy life and liberty, to acquire and possess property, and to pursue happiness and safety. So let's say that I buy a Lamborghini, right? Is it a privilege or is it a right? What would you say? I mean, I can have a Toyota or I can have a Lamborghini.
Well, if you're paying for something, I think that's a privilege.
Why would you think it's a privilege?
Because
nothing wrong with Toyota.
No, I look at it from a business point of view. If you have the money, right, or the credit to buy an automobile, whichever it is, that's a privilege that you have for yourself because you have the money and the funds to obtain such a device.
Well,
inform me.
It is a right. You have the right to choose if you want to use your two legs to travel from point A to point B,
That's
to
true.
use your bicycle, motorcycle, your Toyota, or your Lamborghini. It is your God-given right. You choose whatever way you feel the safest, because it says here is a common right which he has under the right of enjoy life, happiness, and safety. Do you feel safer in a Lamborghini or a Toyota? Hey, that's up to you.
That's up to you.
It is your right, not
You
your
know
privilege.
what strikes out to me for that sentence you just said or read? It reminds me of this piece of paper. It says, the right for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Sounds very close to it.
More cases here, more case laws to back up my my claim here. We have the Thompson's.
Well, it's not even your claim, it's the law.
Yeah, absolutely,
please continue.
absolutely. So we have Thompson's versus Smith. It says it is a fundamental constitutional right to travel.
So if it's constitutional, there's nothing above that.
No, absolutely not. And then we have the Barbarian versus Lucier. It is not a mere privilege.
Wow.
Okay, so what is happening with the DNV? The DNV, it has just taken over our lives in that matter, telling us how to do, what to do, when to do it regarding our travel.
But here's the thing, from a law enforcement perspective. You know, especially here in South Florida, we have so many illegal aliens or whatever, undocumented people that are here. The first thing they do is get a car. But then, you know, they don't get insurance. They don't have a license. But, you know, from a safety point of view, if somebody crashes into you and they have no insurance, the only recourse you have, and that is if you have uninsured motorist coverage, and that's why that is in our insurance policy, and an option that we can obtain. I strongly believe that everyone should have it, uninsured motorist coverage. It's the only way to protect us from the not only the bodily injury, but the damage to our property.
Yes, and I get it. I get it that there's got to be some sort of identification for that person that is actually traveling in that car. So like I said before, the driver's license for commercial purposes, it is a must, absolutely, because it is a privilege for those people. But for all us that are just traveling, I understand that if a cop stops me, a cop should stop you only if there is a suspicion of a crime.
Exactly.
Not because
it feels like it.
Right, not because and this happened to us not too long ago. We were at a stop sign. We were getting close to a stop sign, and my husband stopped, like, for a second, and then he continued. We were inside a private community, mind you, and all of a sudden this cop stopped us and gave my husband a ticket because my husband did not stop for whatever amount of time.
They can't stop you on private property.
But they did. Because they think that is the law, that they have the duty.
That cop has no idea what the law is.
Absolutely not. But this is what's happening everywhere.
It is.
They stop you because they want to.
They feel like it.
So they're supposed to have a crime. If there is no crime.
Full violation.
If there is no crime, and if there is no first-hand witness, and if there is no victim in the case, why are they stopping you? So they stop you, you ask, what is the emergency? Because you already know that you didn't commit any crimes. So what is the reason for this emergency that he's stopping you?
Yes.
The cop is supposed to have a reason. He's supposed to be able to articulate the reason for suspicion. He must. If not, they are against the law.
Of course.
Because they are depriving you from your rights to travel.
And liberty.
So all of a sudden they say, give me your driver's license and your car registration and your insurance. What if I don't have a driver's license? I understand that.
I'll arrest you.
A friend of mine, this is a woman, a handicapped woman. She was thrown, well, first of all, they broke the glass on the window. They basically pulled her out through the broken glass.
And this is just for a traffic stop. Not a felony.
No.
Nobody got killed.
No.
No robbery.
So anyways, the point is that she got thrown on the floor. She spent 3 days in jail. 3 days in jail because of that. That is abuse of power.
What was the charge?
She didn't have a driver's license.
But 3 days in jail
Yeah.
for not having a driver's license? All you do is write her a ticket.
Right. But we have come to a point that a lot of people are disrespectful to the men and women in uniform. We respect men and women in uniform. Don't misunderstand me. I am not saying that from now on you have to argue with a police officer. You shouldn't. No, you can't. You shouldn't, because they don't know the law.
Exactly.
Okay? These are people that work for another agency, another for-profit corporation. They don't know the law. They know how to write a ticket. And I am not saying that, I'm not saying anything negative, okay? They go through whatever kind of training, and you can talk about that a little bit, but they don't really teach them about the law.
Well, let me tell you what they teach you in the academy, right? Everybody's bad. Everybody is a suspected criminal. Everybody is suspected armed. So just from the get-go, you get out of that police car and you're walking up to the car, and it has happened. Policemen have been shot. Policemen have been people have shot innocent bystanders or whatever, because they train you that every situation is a bad situation. And but it takes a person to understand that not everybody is a felon.
No.
Not everyone is bad.
No.
Okay, I remember, when I was a rookie cop, I was a motorcycle cop, believe it or not. Okay, and they didn't like me as a motorcycle cop because I wouldn't write tickets for running red lights or stop signs, especially at 5 o'clock or 5:30 in the afternoon, when everybody is heading home to their family or pick up kids from the nursery or whatever. I would arrest people that had warrants, suspended licenses, and or no insurance. I said, well, they don't belong driving, because here in Miami-Dade, 40 to 50% of people here do not have licenses, insurance, or anything like that. So I thought I was doing a better job by taking them off the street instead of running mom and pop getting home or getting to the daycare center to pick up their kids. In this day and age, they're probably leaving work to go to another job just to survive and feed the family. So they didn't like me there, so I said, you know what? I don't want to be here either. I look really cool in that motorcycle cop uniform, but I'm not here to castigate or punish people just because we had to write 12 tickets a week.
So they have a quota.
Oh, there is no quota. Okay, there is no quota. Okay, but we had to write 12 tickets a week. And for me, that was bull crap. I couldn't take it. I'm saying, I'm running my own people that pay me my salary.
Right.
Tickets because this jerk that has a rank over me says that I have to? No.
And that's when the Chevron Doctrine comes here, because these are statutes and these are regulations and these are rules that were created by an agency, a for-profit corporation. It is not law. People confuse that a ticket, you have to drive at a 55 in a 55 zone, and if you go at 60, it's a crime and it's against the law. It is not a law, people. These speed limits, they are for commercial purposes. So if you see Winn-Dixie, UPS, or Walmart that they are going over their limit, they are breaking a statute, and they are liable for that because they are engaged in commerce. We travelers, we are not engaged in commerce. Now, please, don't be stupid now, okay? Don't be irresponsible. And if you're in a zone, a school zone, that it says that it's 15 miles, and you go at 30 and you cause harm, you injure a person, you are in trouble, my friend, because now you have caused harm to somebody else because of your stupidity, all right? I am not advocating here to now, take your Porsche and go, woo!
No, not like that.
I'll take that risk for you.
No, thank you.
I will test your Porsche for you. I'll take the risk. No, just kidding. But that is a rule and a mandate and a statute for commerce, not for us. And one more time, if you are irresponsible and you go over what is recommended for that kind of street or highway and you cause harm to somebody else, then yes, you are liable, and you better have an insurance. Now let's go back to the insurance.
Please.
That is another rule from the agency. It is not a law. Okay, Congress did not create a law that says that you as a traveler in your automobile, you have to have an insurance. Yes, it is nice because in case of an accident,
correct.
Hello, accidents happen all the time. And I feel kind of good that, I have an insurance in case I cause harm to somebody else. I try to be a very good driver,
Right.
if we can use that word driver here. It is supposed to be used for commercial purposes only, but for the audience, let's say that I'm a driver, and yes, an insurance is a good thing to have. But to get a ticket because I don't have an insurance, that's unconstitutional because the Congress never created that law.
But let me ask you this. Didn't Congress pass a law or a mandate giving southern states the ability to write their laws? Because I remember when I was sworn in, I swore to uphold the laws of the state of Florida and the Constitution of the United States. So what's with that?
Well, if you're going to, it depends on which constitution you're talking about. Are you talking about the Constitution
Of the United States.
of the corporation or the landmass?
Well, it didn't say that. It just says in the Constitution. The laws of the state of Florida and the Constitution.
You see, these are the things that they don't teach us. Because you're trying to uphold the constitution of a corporation, not the actual constitution of the land mass.
And I just realized that you're right because the state of Florida, Miami-Dade County, the United States is a for-profit
Corporation.
nation. We are what do you call it? Capitalists. And capitalism is money making.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with capitalism. It's just that when you have agencies acting as government and profiting from us
Yes.
for their own gain, that's where I have a problem. There's nothing wrong making money.
No.
That's why you have your business, I have my business, and everybody has their business because I'm
Because that's in the
way.
Constitution.
Yeah.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Exactly. Now, if that constitution means for you that you want to take care of the citizens, then that's wonderful. But think about it. If you're just trying to take care of the needs of the corporation, that's another thing. And our uniformed men and women, they have been taught to defend the corporation and not the people. There is a case law, I don't know if I have it here, but there is a case law that says very clear that police are not here to protect the people. They're here to protect.
What? Whoa.
I'll try to find it for you. If not for this episode, maybe for the next one.
Then I'm in a fool of my life.
A case law from the Supreme Court that says very clear that the police are not here to defend and protect the people. They're here to defend and protect the policies of the corporation.
So then,
I'll find it for you.
so then everything that happened on the infamous day, January 6th, the police had no business being there.
Totally unconstitutional. What happened in January the 6th?
We're finding that out now.
Totally
We're finding that out now. All the courts now are saying, hey, you guys screwed up. I mean, they've thrown out almost all the charges against Donald J. Trump, President Trump.
Yes. So, anyways, to close this topic of the Chevron.
Yes, of course.
Okay. The beauty of the Chevron doctrine, the beauty of this case to the Supreme Court to overturn this doctrine is that it's basically taking us back to the actual Constitution of America and not the Constitution of the U.S. corporate for-profit organization.
The Constitution for which we stand.
Bingo. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So let me see what else I have here. Oh, here it is. It is not the duty of the police to protect you.
Cite the statute and the year.
Their job is to protect the corporation and arrest code breakers. So that is the SAPP versus City of Philadelphia 477F 1262, and also Lynch versus New York City, North Carolina Department of Justice 376 SE 247. So I had it here for you.
Yeah, I was reading it. So you're telling me that I call police. Let's say it's a neighborhood dispute with another neighbor. They have no duty or responsibility to go there and calm things down.
Well, remember, we have been conditioned to think in a certain way.
But if that doesn't happen, people be beating each other up day and night.
They want to cause chaos, because from chaos then they bring the order, the one world order,
Yeah.
and that's what they want. They want to bring chaos. And right now, you know very well that the police department of the Florida city, it got dismantled. They say that is because of corruption. I believe, I have hopes, really good hopes. Hold on. That what is going to happen is that they're going to bring more sheriffs to the cities to uphold the law, because police officers, and I'm not saying anything negative about my beautiful, wonderful men and women in uniform. I love you all, okay? And I have many reasons to love you all. As a matter of fact, I have a family member that was a police officer, and sadly, because he was trying to do the right thing, he was retired early. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, if you rock the boat, you're gone. I know, I rocked that boat for 27 years.
So we have
And they just want to get, please just leave, retire.
So there's always a rotten apple, but most of the men and women in uniform, they're good people. They're trying to, do the right thing, feed their families, etc. But they don't know the law. They cannot uphold the law. They can only uphold the policies. They can only enforce, they can only enforce the policies of the corporation. That's why they're called police officers, because they enforce the policies of that for-profit corporation, which is the department or the police department. Only sheriffs can uphold the law. Only sheriffs can enforce the law. So we need more sheriffs. And I want to believe that they are dismantling different police departments to retrain people and to have more sheriffs, so we can really uphold the Constitution.
Let me tell you how it goes. Okay, you go through the process. They do their investigation, background, whatever, and then you get hired. The first thing they teach you in the police academy is, everybody's bad except us. Right? So you're trained by older cops that have been trained by older cops. Excuse me, that have been trained by older cops, and they just pass on the same training, the same attitude. Okay, don't question me. I'm the authority here.
That's right.
Shut up. Okay, I hated that. I hated that, because we're not here to do that. We're here to serve and protect.
Yes. When you saw the case law, 2 cases right there that definitely gave us a clear view that was not being done properly.
Well, and then what happens is, you know, when that police officer becomes senior and they start training new cops, they pass on the same bad attitude and mentality to newer cops. You know, and I've seen cops do horrible things, slap people for no reason whatsoever, except because they say, why? And they slap them, boom, that's it. And they, you know, you as a cop, well, you know, cops can't hand up cops. You just committed a felony because you slapped a man or person and you're armed with a firearm. That is a third-degree felony.
Yeah.
So you committed a third-degree felony just because you got pissed off and somebody said, why? I don't have to do what you say.
Right.
Okay? Just for standing up for the rights. I hated that. I hated that so much.
But now the Chevron, the overturn of the Chevron doctrine is going to help us minimize that, because a lot of things are going to be changing. And I took the DMV and the police department as an example, but people remember, there are over 400 agencies doing that to us.
Yes.
So it's not that we wanted to take that example to hammer on the DMV or the police officers. It was just an example because that is a thing that we live every day, and people can relate better to that example. But the FDA, the CDC, the FBI, the CIA, OSHA, and
DOJ.
the DOJ, all these for-profit organizations that are posing as government agencies, now they're going to have to make some changes, because a lot of us are learning about the benefits of this doctrine, the Chevron doctrine, to be overturned, and we're going to use it to our advantage.
Oh, yeah, you know, use it and abuse it. That's what they're going to do. Because, you know, I see so many things. What opened my eyes up to the corruption, the abuse. Every time, when I was a rookie or junior cop, every time, and a lot of cops were getting killed back then, at least 3 or 4 a month. But every time I went to these funerals, and then, you know, when the autopsy came back, positive for marijuana, positive for cocaine, I'm like, what? It's so embarrassing. You know, if you're gonna enforce the law, at least follow it. But anyway, I'm glad you're here again.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. I hope that you all appreciate it as well. We want to thank you very much. God bless America. And my friends, we're having an election for sheriff for the first time in Miami-Dade County in almost 100 years. And again, we're having a presidential election this year as well. God bless Donald Trump and your family, and God bless you all. God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you.